Just on energy, we had a delegation of nuclear experts made their way to Canberra to get MPs to see some sense. I know the National Party has been seeing sense on nuclear for some time, but we need to turn around a few of the others there. One of them was an expert, Dr. Adi Patterson, pretty phenomenal nuclear scientist. He joined me here on Credlin last night. Have a listen.
Above about 25 to 30% intermittent renewables, your grid starts to become unstable. And at the moment, we are not just talking about 20 or 35%, we're talking about a grid that we are going to fill with lots and lots of renewables. And in fact, in the case of the current plan, is to build an extra new grid to support that. We've done the economics on that, but we are based really in physics, in engineering, and in good practice, and in understanding what the rest of the world has. And it simply doesn't stack up.
Vicky, he's a former head of ANSTO, which is our #1 nuclear science body, so he's a really credentialed expert. Do you think Canberra's going to listen to him?
Honestly, I got to spend time with Adi earlier this week and then sat there for the 2-day conference on reaching net zero and our energy future yesterday and today. And do you know what I didn't see in the room, Peter? Was a single Labor MP. I did not see Chris Bowen. Apparently, the Minister for Climate Change, a former Fairfield councillor, knows more about powering the grid than these system engineers who've got more than 500 years cumulative experience at the top level of complex projects. They have done the research into this. They have had a look at the figures. And when they look at it, they are saying that the true cost of going to renewables for us out to 2050 is not $383 billion, but $1.2 trillion, which is what, 2/3 of the Australian economy? You know, they are shocked that we are stamping all over our environment. We're destroying our environment to save the planet. We are putting high voltage power lines through our national parks. We're putting wind farms over our prime agricultural land. We're putting solar panels all over our state forests. And we're doing that. We're going to have to, there's no viable way to recycle them. They will have to go to landfill. And we're going to have to do that twice over by 2050.
Just interesting too, Ross Greenwood on Sunday at 11 o'clock, he's got his business program. He's interviewed the Origin CEO, Frank Calabria, on the need for politicians, right to Vicky's point, to be upfront and honest about the cost of transition. Have a listen.
It's great that the government have set a 43% emissions reduction target by 2030. But what we do need to achieve that is a very large infrastructure build-out of billions and billions of dollars. And I think we need to take the community along with us on the way to have an honest conversation about the cost of the transition. But it's going to take a lot of investment to get there, and that's going to come at cost to customers.
So our debt's already $1 trillion, Prue. We've got billions and billions and billions and billions to fix something that we're breaking, that wasn't broke, but we're breaking. We've got a $2 trillion per annum fund for the UN for this grievance campaign out of COP27. I don't know where they think the money's going to come from, because we're going to stop exporting coal, we're going to stop exporting gas. What are we going to do to pay our way in Australia?
It's going to be an economic disaster for all of us, and it's not as if we don't see it. We're seeing it time and time again overseas. What is wrong with Chris Bowen? What is wrong with Albanese? Why cannot they see that they are dragging us into a disaster? It's just not logical. Anybody who voted Labor must be seeing the fact that their bills are going up. The lie of the $275, which really in the scheme of things was a piddling amount anyway, is disappeared, vaporised, as will the rest of our money, because we're going to be we'll be making rationing. We will be deciding whether we're going to cook dinner for our kids or turn the lights on. It's so appalling that we've got ourselves here, and the lies that they're sprouting about the cost of nuclear, when they haven't even bothered to investigate it, when we know the real cost of renewables with all this infrastructure that they just conveniently forget. It's a joke and a con.
Like Prue says too, there's no economy without energy, right? We need a constant, ongoing, stable supply of energy so that we can manufacture things, our medicines, all of our industry, our transformers, the very things that we need just to get around and do our jobs every single day. We need $1 per 1 kilowatt hour, I think, was what they told us today. That's what we need in order to produce our GDP.